Audi's 5 has always been their glamour car. It's got a refresh now for 2013. Goodbye V8. Most of the technology stays, however, and those lines, they never looked any better. Let's drive this 2013 S5 and check the tech. About you, but I was long laboring under the mistaken impression that an Audi 5 was a big brother to an Audi 4. It's actually, at least in the current incarnation, the little brother. It's 1 to 3 inches smaller in every direction, especially length and wheelbase. It's also a subcompact. An A4 is a compact. It's a whole bigger size class. They call this the practical executive coupe, but the executives in the back better be on Nutrisystems, and to be practical, you got to go to Europe and import your own 5-door hatchback model, which they don't sell here. Now, the story inside this S5 is high-tech, but less. You can't get everything Audi offers here. There's no head-up display available. There's no handwriting pad available. You're going to use the traditional MMI with the roly-scrolly wheel, the little kick-around knob, and the 4 zone buttons around it, as well as these dedicated controls. The main technology pleaser in this car lives behind this door. You've got a SIM card there. That means this car has its own 3G connection. It doesn't need to be connected to your phone at all. That powers things like that. You're looking at a map with the usual traffic and streets, but notice you've got Google Earth satellite imagery. Nobody else does this like this. You can also use this guy as a Wi-Fi hotspot. So that same 3G connection that's powering the head unit can also power up to 8 connected devices, your tablet, your laptop. That's slicing the onion too thin. That 3G connection's just enough to run what's happening here. You use the hotspot on your phone for everything else. Now, it's 3G, not free G. So after a 6-month trial period on a new car, you're going to pay $30 a month for that Audi T-Mobile hotspot connection. It's a 2 gigabyte plan. After that, you're going to get throttled, but they still call it unlimited. AM, FM, display is really good, and rolling between stations and clicking here to select one is very intuitive, except for one thing. Join me here for a little demonstration. On the left, you see a list of radio stations. On the right is a shot of the controller you'd use to roll between them. I want you to go down the list. Quick, without thinking, which way do you turn the knob? Right, I want to turn it clockwise, but it's backwards. On the Audi, you got to turn counterclockwise to go down the list. Okay, now your media sources, aside from radio, are pretty rich. Jukebox refers to 20 gigabytes of space on the car's hard drive. Useless. Here's my SD card. I've got 2 slots for those. My iOS device, iPod, iPhone, that goes in here on this MMI connector cable. Bluetooth streaming as well as Bluetooth hands-free. And this is your Wi-Fi streaming position. If you want to play media from a Wi-Fi device on the hotspot that won't work, you'd go there. Now, our car is loaded up with the Bang & Olufsen sound system, but unlike some, this one doesn't cost $4,000, $5,000, or $6,000. It's under $1,000, and what you really get here, aside from the usual bass, treble, balance fader, is some Bang & Olufsen DSP. This system sounds good, especially at a reasonable price, but like all systems, it can't do a damn thing for low bitrate MP3s or satellite radio. These cars are all quattro all-wheel drive, by the way. Here's our shifter. In this case, we have a 7-speed dual-clutch automated manual that behaves a lot like an automatic. Bring it down to drive, go over here for a more stick shifting situation. That means when you input a gear on the paddles, it's going to stick with that gear. This Audi Drive Select button lets you pick one of 4 drive personalities. So you've got dynamic, your sportiest. Individual, you can set each parameter yourself on the screen. Comfort's going to be your most leisurely, obviously. And automatic will adapt as you drive. The parameters you affect with these are your steering response, electric power steering, how responsive is it, what's the ratio. You affect your throttle mapping, how much oomph you get for each centimeter of pedal travel, and it also affects your shift. Okay, in the engine bay, as I mentioned, no more V8 available. That 4.2 is gone, at least in the U.S. We get a 3-liter supercharged V6. With direct injection, all the latest tech is here, and the numbers bear it out pretty well. 333 horsepower to this guy, 325 foot-pounds of torque. Nice high torque number relative to the horses. That's a turbo thing. 0 to 60 in this roughly 3,900-pound car is under 5 seconds, about 4.9. Quite respectable, while delivering 1828 mpg with the sequential gearbox. If you go for that 6-speed manual, you drop down to 1726. And of course, all these S5s are quattro. I get in an Audi, I'm always taken by one thing first and foremost. They're so damn smooth. The engine is like vibration-free. The suspensions are always very compliant, even though sporty. These are really nicely engineered cars. That said, the big story here is how is this V6 since you can't get the V8 anymore? The power is either really good or flat-footed, depending on how the whole rest of the powertrain is driving. So sometimes I've got great oomph from 1,000 RPMs on up. Other times you got to cook it up to about $3 grand to get much out of it. But what I find is really the big issue here is what state the gearbox is in. 7 speeds, that means when this guy is hunting 7th all the time, as all cars do now, it's how they game the EPA numbers, you've got a lot of gears you've got to dig out from under when you want to get some acceleration. From 7th to like 4th or 3rd when you step on it. By the time the gearbox works its way up there, that hole up there in the lane you were trying to get is probably gone. It doesn't happen a lot, but the car does get kind of buried in high mileage, high gearing situations once in a while. Going to sport certainly helps. Mashing your own gears on the paddles certainly helps, but that's also kind of annoying in everyday driving. And when it does get the sweet spot, it's really sweet. This guy's a really throaty note when you really get into it. Nice. The blind spot technology on this guy is passive. You get a light here in the mirror housing when you're about to lane change into somebody, but the car does not save you in any case. Okay, let's price our 2013 S5. Base seems attractive at about $51,800. But then to go CNET style, the way I've showed you here, you're damn near gonna go broke. This is one expensive little car when it's teched up. The Prestige package is $6,600 and it brings in the nav, Audi Connect, HD radio, B&O, blind spot, rear camera, and adaptive cruise, plus some interior niceties. Or do the MMI plus nav package for $3 grand for the camera, DVD, HD radio, Audi Connect, hard drive nav, but then you still don't get that Audi Drive Select or dynamic steering. And that 7-speed sequential dual-clutch gearbox is $1,400. At least drive the manual and check it out, even though you do lose 2 highway MPG.